Can you beat Honor Mode solo and without any gear? Well, yes, that is if you enjoy inflicting pain on yourself. Massive amounts of pain, and yet I still did it. So enjoy watching how I suffered my way through solo Honor Mode without any gear. We start as Shadowheart because if I am already running around naked, it better be as Shadowheart. We then max out our stats in Charisma, Wisdom and Dexterity, because these are the only ones that matter for us at this point. For these spells we only care about Sanctuary, which basically just prevents us from dying for as long as we have it active. At the beach we jump up these rocks to avoid fighting the brains and start collecting our stay-at-home companions to get to level 2. At level 2 we take the first level in Sorcerer for Magic Missile and Shield. But more importantly, we get the Friends Cantrip, which even further helps us to avoid combat and get XP for it. We pass a persuasion check and lockpick the door to get our first free kill. We then go to the grove and help the locals defend it against the goblins. In the grove we will buy 3 strength potions from Auntie Ethel, and we will do so every long rest since we need a lot of them later on. After that we pick up the best boy Creche, which gets us to level 3. At level 3 we take the first warlock level, which we later need to pass the necromancy book. Now we disguise ourselves as a drow and enter the village. As a drow we are able to avoid the 2 big fights in the village and even get XP for it. After that we take a quick trip into the doctor's cellar to get the necromancy book, ignoring all the coffins to avoid combat. At the goblin camp we free their prisoner and Rolo. We then go into the spider cave and use Sanctuary to get past all the spiders. We pick up the dark amethyst, use a featherfall potion and jump down into the Underdark. There we go to the Myconid colony to unlock the 2 traders there. After that we go back up and read the necromancy book. We use our warlock class to get an easier check for the first roll. For the second check we have our high wisdom and wisdom proficiency to give us an easier time passing it. And last but not least we use our cleric class to get an easier check for the last one. This one is not necessary to pass because you will still get the buff even if you fail, and the curse you will get will be removed after your next long rest. Since we already entered the goblin camp, withers will show up at our camp even though we didn't clear the crypt yet.
Such is life.
We respec our character, taking 2 levels into Sorcerer for Shield, Magic Missile, Chromatic Orb and Twin Spell. Our last level goes into the Light Domain Cleric for Sanctuary and Warding Flame. Now we are strong enough to take on our first few fights that will get us to level 4. At level 4 we take our 3rd level in Sorcerer for Cloud of Daggers and Quickened Spell. Back at the Goblin camp we finally pick up Luviata's Blessing, and after some more indiscreet killing we reach level 5. At level 5 we respec our character again and put all our levels into Sorcerer so we get the Fireball spell. With the Fireball spell we are now able to take out large groups of enemies with ease, so it doesn't take us long until we reach level 6. At level 6 we once more respec our character into a pure level 6 open hand monk, the Tavern Brawler feat. Since Grim is weak to bludgeoning damage, monk is also the best way for us to kill him. Starting the fight we use a potion of strength and an enlarged scroll to further increase our damage and hit chance. We throw a speed potion at the ground that we will pick up once the fight starts. We drink an invisibility potion and trigger the cutscene. Since we are invisible, the fight won't start immediately and we are able to surprise him, giving us an extra turn to kill him. Now that the fight started, we pick up the speed potion to get our second action point and start punching. Using the whole of body ability will give us an extra bonus action for 3 turns, which allows us to use 2 flurry of blows attacks per turn. Since we have no gear, we actually needed 3 turns to take him down, but we simply drink an invisibility potion to avoid taking any damage from him in the one turn he got. Next on our list is Auntie Ethel. As usual, we spare one of her mind controlled cards, so she won't multiply herself in the first round of combat. Going into the fight, we use a scroll of Sea Invisibility to heal her and a scroll of Enlarge to increase our damage. We use an invisibility potion to get close to her, and once we revealed her, we drink a speed potion and start the fight with Stunning Strike. Unfortunately, we didn't get the stun, but this doesn't really matter. Once she finished wasting her turn on summoning her one mind controlled card, we take her out and she surrenders.
Wait! Wait just a tick!
Take a deal for the +1 to an ability of our choice, and we choose Dexterity, cause this is an ability that is useful for every build. We then introduce the Githyanki to our favorite spell. Before we enter the Zeltist, we respec into a wizard with the proficiency in Wisdom and Intelligence. This will give us the best chance to pass the 12 Intelligence and 15 Wisdom check. For our secondary class we pick Monk, which allows us to pass the last check via Wisdom instead of Intelligence or Constitution. Passing all 3 of these will give us the Awakened ability, which allows us to cast Illithid powers using our bonus action. Facing the Inquisitor, we throw a speed potion on the ground, use Enlarge and make ourselves invisible to get a surprise attack. Now we walk into the speed potion and intentionally trigger an opportunity attack. We do this because the Ready to Parry ability counts as a reaction, and since he now already used a reaction with his opportunity attack, he won't be able to use the parry ability anymore for the rest of the turn. Unfortunately, we lose our concentration from the opportunity attack and therefore are unable to kill him in one turn. But since we hit a stun attack, it doesn't matter and he is still unable to take a turn. In the Shadowlands, we join up the Harpers to kill Karnas, who, weirdly enough, does not have a legendary ability, so after one stun he goes down rather quickly. At level 8 we take the Alert feat to further guarantee our first move. Now it's time for us to take out the Torms. Starting with Marlo's Torm, his legendary ability Wail of Loss is quite easy to avoid, since it only triggers if at least one of his sisters is still alive. So we start the fight by taking out all of his sisters before we attack him. Unfortunately, I then miss my stun attacks on him, and since he has a multi-attack ability, it's quite likely that he will end up breaking my haste concentration and then kill me. So I'm forced to retreat and then re-engage combat. This time we hit our stun attacks and he goes down.
I'm glad that's over. No wonder some people are afraid of doctors.
Next we face Tizobold Torm, who I just ended up killing using the good old cloud kill and run tactic. While doing this I actually found a spot where Tizobold seems to bug out, just standing inside the poison cloud until he's dead.
He's done for. I'll drink to that.
And after freeing the Night Song, we take the fight to Callarduran. Before entering the fight, we pre-buff ourselves using a speed, flying, cloud giant strength potion and an enlarged scroll. Killing Callarduran is actually pretty easy, even though he has a pretty high armor. Because of our Cloud Giant Strength potion, we still have a very high chance to hit him. And since his legendary ability requires his allies to act, it also will never come to action. Going into the last fight of the second act, we use an invisibility potion to initiate a surprise attack. We then finish Callarduran off using our magic missiles and Merkle spawns. Merkle's legendary ability is actually a very strong one. He will use Gaze of the Dead on the first creature that strikes him every round, and even if you succeed the saving throw, you will still take damage. Combined with Merkle's presence, this unavoidable damage becomes very deadly very quickly. Well, almost unavoidable. Since Merkle can't move, he's the best enemy to use the Globe of Invulnerability against. It's just the absolute hard counter against him. The only problem is, even though you are invulnerable inside the globe, you are not immune against status effects, or to be more specific, against CCs. This is where the Fire Elemental comes into play. He is supposed to destruct the Mind Flayer, the only enemy in this fight who has a CC attack. The Mind Flayer will prefer using his Mind Blast against the Fire Elemental because he can do damage against him, which he couldn't do against me. And now we just sit inside our globe, blasting Merkle down. Heading to Baldur's Gate, we first have to deal with Orpheus' Honor Guard. And since there is no way we can win the first part of this fight, I just use Misty Step to immediately enter the portal. There, the fight becomes a lot easier because of these convenient placed chasms all over the place. We then subdue Orpheus again and consume the Astral Parasite.
It's a veritable feast.
Our first stop in Baldur's Gate is the Arcane Tower, where we get the Scroll of Artistry of War and read this book to get a 20 temporary HP boost every long rest. After that, we head to the House of Grief for the Mirror of Loss. The fight against Viconia ends up being very easy, since we are just chosen and almost every Sharon decides to join our side. We even get advantage on our persuasion checks, because apparently Shadowheart's Underwear is the new Dark Justicia armor. Anyway, we take out Viconia and head to the Magic Mirror for our final sacrifice, killing these two random people for whatever reason. Once this is done, we finally can use the mirror. And since we are just chosen, we don't have to prove ourselves to the mirror and also don't even need to make a sacrifice. I decided to take the +2 on Charisma and therefore use the Tempest Storm Sorcerer for my final build.
The dark mirror seems to turn dormant. Its hunger is sated.
Now it's time to show Cazador what true power looks like. While dealing with Cazador, you need to be very careful, because he will cast his legendary ability Vampiric Swarm on you when you get too close to him. And even Sanctuary can protect you from this. We will still use Sanctuary as a pre-buff though, so he won't attack us once the combat starts. Before we trigger the cutscene, we will cast Rain to get lightning weakness onto Cazador. We then use Black Hole to get Cazador and Shutter Teeth together, so we can hit both of them with Chain Lightning. After the Chain Lightning, we finish Cazador off using a level 6 Chromatic Orb. And with that, we took the two only dangerous enemies of this fight out. The next weakling on our list is Raphael, but before we invite ourselves into his house, we get the Rapture buff from the Dryad. Inside the House of Hope, we have an intense fight with Harlap and steal the Orphic Hammer. Using invisibility, we walk past all of Raphael's guards straight to Hope. I'm kidding, of course we ignored her and went straight to the exit. There we pre-buff ourselves with Haste, Sanctuary and Invisibility for no apparent reason whatsoever.
You contemptuous creature!
Before we start the fight, we spam Minor Illusion until they are all gathered together. We then cast Rain to start the combat, which will not break our Sanctuary, because Rain doesn't count as an attack. After Uriah did his turn, we take out all of Raphael's goons in one turn using Lightning Bolt and Chain of Lightning. After that, we drink an invisibility potion to disengage combat and reset our spell slots so we can take on Raphael in a 1v1. But then I noticed something. Raphael belongs to the boss enemies in honor mode that won't heal up in between combat. And honorless as I am, I decided to take advantage of this. So instead of resetting my spell slots immediately, I went into the fight without the reset. Only problem is, since we already were in combat with Raphael, he won't get surprised from us anymore if we attack him with invisibility. But there is a little trick how you can still surprise him. And that is by simply sneaking while also being invisible. This way you will always get your surprise round no matter what. Raphael's legendary ability is also very easy to deal with. If he hits a charm on you, you can simply use AoE spells attacks to bypass this debuff. Even if Raphael is the only target, the game doesn't register this as a direct attack. After our second retreat, we reset our spell slots and go for our final push to kill Raphael. Once the surprise round is over, we use Sanctuary and wait until Raphael and his Infernal Debtors position themselves in a way that we can use Mind Blast to stun Raphael and get a kill at the same time for our Blood Elixir. Now we have 3 action points with 3 guaranteed Disintegrate attacks. After that we fly away so the Infernal Debtor won't blow herself up inside our face. Then we go back and finish Raphael using the Scroll of War. I have to say this was not the cleanest of all my fights, but it got the job done. However, if I could go back in time, I would choose to do this fight as an open hand monk, simply because Raphael doesn't have the legendary resistance ability, using the AoE damage scrolls to kill his goons and then perma-stun him. I might even be able to take him down in one go like this, if I have very good walls, that is.
No more devils, no more debts. With its master gone, the house is nothing more now than an empty carcass.
Now all that's left to do is to assassinate Gortash and...
Kill Orin! Kill Orin! Kill Orin!
Relax, I'm on my way. Going into the fight against Orin, we immediately start the fight with a poison cloud to start killing her Reapers. The most important part in Orin's fight is to use the terrain to your advantage. Our flying ability, we are able to put a lot of space between us and Orin, and she will have a lot of trouble to get to you. Now all we do is fly around until we killed all of Orin's Reapers. We then use Sanctuary and cast Rain on her for the lightning weakness. And now all that's left to do is to cast our lovely level 6 Chromatic Orb. If you wondered why Baal's edict didn't affect me in this combat, I believe it is because I was outside the arena and therefore it can't target me. But this is just an assumption, it might be something else entirely, or maybe I was just lucky.
You have robbed another god of his chosen.
Now it's finally time to take down the Netherbrain. Fighting your way through the Netherbrain is pretty straightforward, just make sure you take out the enemy mind flayers first and you should be fine. Alright, with that out of the way, let's skip to the interesting part. At the foot of the Netherbrain, we first take a little nap to reset all of our abilities. And don't forget to drop the Resonance Stone before you climb up. We use extended invisibility and make our way to the top. There we walk past everything and start dominating the crown. Here I kinda started to panic because it didn't immediately finish. I think it was because I used Greater Invis and not the normal one, so the game didn't probably register that I started dominating the crown. I don't know. Anyway, once the Emperor's turn started, it got completed and we joined our final fight for this game. The Netherbrain is actually a scary enemy. Every round when you attack it, it will unleash a Mind Blast onto all of your characters, dealing a lot of damage. And on top of that, it also gets immunity to all the damage types it took last turn on every new turn. Which honestly I feel like is just a way from Larian to nerf martial classes. Luckily, with our vast amount of scrolls, we won't run out of damage types to damage the Netherbrain. Yet, without any gear, I still struggled to deal 450 damage before all the platforms disappeared. And then I stood there, half-life on the last 2 platforms that will explode next turn. And since the Emperor can't throw any potions, all I could do was just to attack and hope I survived the Mind Blast. Because if I want to kill the Netherbrain in this turn, I need a speed potion. Not even close. Thank you for watching. I put both builds I used for this one alongside with the equipment into the description. The feats in the description might be a bit different from the feats you saw me use in this one, but this is just because I optimized the feats in this one for a solo no gear one, while in the description they are optimized for your normal build. And that's all. See you in the next video.